right, it's been a minute, Cage. I hope you're as excited as I am to see your big mug and talk a little bit of NFTs. Because Cage and I mean, would you say every single day we call each other, we talk about the state of the NFT world, state of the crypto world, what we're going to do at the end of the year with taxes apparently is a new topic. I haven't thought much about it. You have. But guys, we're back. And this is the most casual NFT crypto conversation. It's going to be all over the place. But there's so much has happened since we were last on here. We've had this SOS airdrop, which my buddy here, Max Norris, Mr. Putnam Cards, who I'll introduce in a second, calls it the Web3 Stimmy, which I kind of like. We might coin that. That might be an NFT project coming. We had the creature sell-off, right? And then kind of a little bit of a bounce back. We're going to talk about that. The flippening, which wasn't even truly a flippening between the punks and the apes. And it brings up the question, how important is IP in this space? Artifact, Nike, and we talk a little bit about centralization, decentralization. Preview, Putnam doesn't think decentralization matters to the masses. And then a whole bunch of other stuff. So, guys, this is a special episode because we're sports card collectors at heart. Max Norris here. He goes by Putnam Cards on Instagram. He's a huge sports card collector that led him to NFTs. So I want to make an introduction. Happy holidays, Max. It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you, sir. It's great. I think this maybe is my third appearance on a Luca Tiger Braun affiliated podcast. Cage, Goldberg, great to see you guys. I have a new friend here as well. So
that's you, Shadowy. Smile.
That's right.
making friends. I love it. Dude, partner, we got to jump right into it, man. What of the half dozen topics that Andrew just threw out there? What's your favorite one to talk about? Is it punks versus apes and what's going on there? Is it the SOS, airdrop? What that means, whether or not that's just the beginning, and there, we should expect 10 things more like that in the next month or 6. Why that's a difference in the space. Where do you want to jump, man? We can go so many places.
Let's just go head first into taxes. It sounds like
No, that's my favorite topic, only because I don't like to have anything I don't know. I like to prepare for things. I think if you prep for things, it's the better way to go. It's pretty much not the space. Most people kind of jump in head first and then figure it out later.
I want to talk about creatures, Cage, because yesterday you called me saying, talking you out of buying a creature. Creatures is what I reached out to Max about because I wanted to buy in. Here's this project with a true artist, Danny Cole. They get a collab with VeeFriends, which seems like, if not the pinnacle, near the pinnacle of what you can accomplish as a PFP art project. And the price goes down in half. And you put this is a good kind of epitome of the hobby as the NFT space as a whole, short-term versus long-term expectations of the community. So could you give people out there who don't know, shed a little light on the Creature World project and what may have happened?
Yeah, so Creature World's a typical 10,000 profile picture NFT collection. 21-year-old artist named Danny Cole. His whole art is based off of this Creature World. He launched it in August, and GaryVee was very quick to pick up on the project. And GaryVee, I think he owns 50 creatures, which is pretty significant. And then because of GaryVee, Shaquille O'Neal bought a creature, and so about a month or 2 months into the project, the floor was like 4 ETH. Around that point, there was a lot of hype, and now the floor is down to just over 1. And it kind of, I wouldn't say crashed, but the floor was 2 for a long time, and then it kind of went down to 1 recently. And there's a number of reasons for that. The Creature World, the project revolves around these things called journeys, which is a loosely defined term. But there was a lot of hype about the second journey recently, and it didn't live up to the expectations that people had. And so there was a pretty massive sell-off from that. And a lot of people, in my mind, they're expecting Creature World to be like every other profile picture project. You look at Cool Cats or Apes, and these are projects that basically their teams are trying to just boost the financial value of these assets, and even at times just giving money and tokens to the holders, and that's not Creature World, because Creature World is purely an art project, and it kind of confuses the market because it's a profile picture project. And so a lot of people had high expectations, and so far the project hasn't lived up to the market's expectations. And that brings up a whole slew of topics and debates. But
when Gary and VeeFriends did the gift goat thing with Creature World, was that well accepted by the community? Because I thought that was cool as an outsider.
That was definitely cool. That didn't really have any impact on the project because Gary was already affiliated with Creature World, and it didn't benefit Creature World holders at all. It just benefited people who owned one specific VeeFriend. But I mean, yeah, that was very cool. It legitimized Creature World even more, but it didn't really boost anything.
I think we're asking a lot of these. This seems like Danny Cole. He's an artist. He's a true artist. And then it seems
Bro's
like
got that
he's
little
creating
sun glare creature looking vibe to him right now. Actually, that's perfect.
I look like a vampire just glowing in the sun.
Creature, you look like a creature.
That's a good call. You got a whole creature vibe going on right now. He's right. You do.
All right. We'll have to pull up one that looks like me.
I'll pull it up. Ask your question. I like when you talk.
My question is just about, like, I think we're expecting a lot of these artists. Danny Cole is absolutely an artist, but we're taking him entirely out of his chosen realm, I think, by asking him to create this whole NFT project and this whole creature world and everything like that. Maybe he is super technologically advanced and into this kind of stuff. Maybe he is. Maybe I'm only talking about other artists, but this is a really complex kind of art that we've never asked anyone to do before. So it's not surprising that lots of these art projects eventually erode and fail.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately this lends itself to the argument of does art and do artists owe anybody anything? Because you see this with Creature World and you see this with CryptoPunks, which are both art projects, versus Bored Ape Yacht Club and Cool Cats and Doodles and all these other profile picture collections, which aren't so much art projects as they are more so it's all tokenomics and community and utility based. But they're all kind of they're all structured the same way, 10,000 profile pictures. But there's the art side of it, and then there's the utility side of it. And the market is having a tough time kind of differentiating between those two classes.
You put your CryptoPunks in art, and you put Bored Apes into tokenomics. Why is that?
Well, I mean, from the start, CryptoPunks, it was art. If you look on the website, it says art.
Let me know when they finish rendering the full images. It's very pixelated. I can't zoom in.
Funny. But yeah, no, anybody who fully understands CryptoPunks will tell you it's an art project. It's not utility based. Like I own a CryptoPunk having zero expectations of being airdropped or given anything or having any utility added on top of it. To me, it's just a piece of art. And so and I think of creatures in kind of the same way. And because they're not utility based, it's by an artist, it's by a creator. And then you have Bored Apes and Cool Cats, which is just a totally different thing. And right now the market seems to be favoring the utility. But maybe that's just a short-term thing. I don't know.
That's what I see too, because it's so hard to quantify an ether value for art. Lots of us are brand new to art, so all we know how to do is quantify tokenomics or quantify these values and things, trade them like stocks, right. not like art.
Yeah. I mean, people don't demand anything, from physical art. Like, you're not going to be airdropped anything from owning a physical painting or anything. So just because the medium changes, does that mean, the expectations are higher? I don't know.
How many physical art pieces do people collect that there's 10,000 copies of?
Very few, almost probably. Probably zero.
So I think that's what the problem becomes now with the art pieces. When an artist comes out and says, it's just art, don't expect anything else of us, and the rest of the world in PFP land looks at the utility side of the coin and says, I'm using coin on purpose there, and says, but those guys, just look what those guys are doing, and then look what they, and Adidas just showed up. Well, why can't we get K-Swiss on my punk or something like that? So I mean, I get it, and trust me, I get the other side of the equation also. I mean, art for art's sake is an important thing, but art for art's sake is one thing. Art for 4 ETH is completely different when there's 10,000 of them. And it makes it a tough sell. And I love the chart you just pulled up, Goldberg. I mean, I love it. I really do, because that is one that you'd consider successful. If you're holding a creature, you're probably doing well, right? It's still 1 ETH for the floor, right? And it was a GaryVee project. You have Shaq in it, the whole deal. Forget about the ETH for a second. Forget about the prices. If you just look at the chart itself, this is the same type of chart that you would see for almost every single project out there. Almost everyone, with very few exceptions, right?
Do you want me to pull up another example, Cage?
You pull up anything. Pull up Lazy Lions. Okay, that's another one that people love. Great community, right? It's bordering between the tokenomic utility / RTFKT, right? There it is, right at a flat 1. Pretty similar chart, right? You got a spike in the beginning and then just a slow and steady with a little like heartbeat type of stuff, but over time, just a little downtrend. Looks very similar to the one you just saw for creatures. You want me to give you 7 more examples?
No,
I can, because they're all
for me, it's
following
for
the
our
same,
audience. We'll look at that
same trend, right? But I guess my deal, and I have Max here. Max knows his stuff, right? I mean, that's why we bring people on like this. He is a punk holder, right, and understands the difference between, that one class of utility versus the other class of art. But how do any of these things survive? How do you put your money into any of these? And survive is a very open-ended term, right? Because, Max, you are very good at long-term strategy versus short. You're very good at talking, what's your expectation? Do you want to hold this for a week and have it go 10x? You want to hold it, for 10 years and see it go double in that 10 years? I mean, a lot of that comes to that. But what's the point of these 10,000 art pieces, right? Because I don't compare it to art, physical art. Right? I just don't, because physical art, there are very few. There are prints, but people don't really, think of prints the same way as the actual traditional art of an artist. So talk to me about these things. Is it possible that the Art PFP project saw its heyday in 2021 and is gone? Talk to me.
I think it's I mean, the short answer is no. But I mean, I think you have to, like, with a lot of this stuff, you have to look at like why is someone gonna care about this in 5 years? Like what? Why is someone gonna want a lazy lion or a creature, or a bored ape or a punk or a squiggle in 5-10 years from now? And a lot of that, I mean, I'm quite bullish on things that have historical significance, or were the first to do something, or inspired a genre of NFTs, because I think those are going to be valued for the same reason, 2012 Prism has value, right? If we're going to compare it to something like cards, that was first year Prism. People like to collect firsts.
So I have the whole first set of Beanie Babies in my basement. First edition set with the full tags. I got the first set of Beanie Buddies, right? I got Humphrey the Camel, right? I got all the first ones, man.
Guys, if you don't know, Cage was on eBay when they only got paid in money orders. So this guy knows it.
There was no crypto. There was no PayPal, right? I literally got postal money orders. But the point I make is, I make it for a reason. I don't think it's fair to compare NFTs to cards yet. I really don't. I think it's fairer to compare them to the Beanie Babies that were around for 2 years and exploded and were everywhere. And if you went to a baseball game, you saw David Wells pitch a no-hitter and got Valentino, the Beanie Baby, the white bear with the red heart on it, and people were selling it on eBay for thousands of dollars because you had to be at that game to get it. And I say this for a reason, not just because I want to, get clicks or because I want to be contrary to what everyone's saying, but let's just put it in perspective, right? People call a project blue chips, right? And you'll use blue chips. We can talk about blue chips and what you think a blue chip is. But I've heard people refer to World of Women as a blue chip project or a future blue chip project.
The blue chip term is definitely.
But you know what yesterday was? Yesterday was 5 months from the mint of World of Women. One of the iconic I think it's art done by a child, but my co-host really seems to like the art on it. I think it's ridiculous. But
Well,
it's
5 months ago, I was
opening
opening Panini Direct packs thanks to a tip.
5 months, 5 months and 1 day. I know this because that was the first thing that I minted. So if,
At National.
July
Flying
27th
first
at
class.
National, it sticks in my brain. So 2012 Prism, you got a decade of collecting there. And if you looked at 2012 Prism in like 2015, there weren't that many people who gave a crap about 2012 Prism. 2017, there weren't that many people who gave a crap about it. Sure, in 2012, people are looking at it, right? But I don't know what's going to happen. It's 5 months from that, right? I mean, Bored Apes are not even a year old. And they're blue chip of blue chips, right? I mean, these things, it's just funny to think about it that way, where we're all saying, okay, well, the first of something is great if it lasts 10 years, right? But the first, who knows whether these are going to be cards or they're going to be Beanie Babies.
Well, it begs the question, and Putnam, maybe you want to add this into your responses. What will people care about in 5 years? Maybe you could talk about projects, but also maybe utility and all that stuff included. Because maybe we could go around the horn too, because that would be interesting. What will people care about in 5 years?
Yeah, well, first I want to respond to the Cage's point, but like
Max has a Peanuts the elephant. He has a first series Beanie Baby too.
My parents, they have a huge thing of Beanie Babies in the basement.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, we got to like think big picture. Like Beanie Babies, stuffed animals. Like we're talking about NFTs, a technology that is going to change life, like how we live life.
How does a
like
creature change life?
No, I'm talking
He's
about
not
just
a human
NFTs.
and he's a creature.
No, but how does creature? Like he's huge. No, but I understand what you're saying. The technology overall is something that will be here, right? NFTs.
I mean, in my head, I'm thinking of CryptoPunks right now. Like, if you're thinking NFTs, like NFTs gonna be around forever. Digital assets are gonna be around forever from here on out. Like, and they were one of the first ones to do it. And I mean, right now they're a status symbol. There's a community there. When someone owns a punk and displays their punk as a profile picture, other people go, oh, okay, this person is very dedicated to it says something about that person. It's a status symbol. Like I don't think that's going to change I think that's always going to be the case. I think like other collections like Chromie Squiggles, like that's one of the very first examples of on-chain generative art. They're always going to be one of the first examples of on-chain generative art. And if the on-chain generative art category keeps going the way it is and becomes more popular, those are always going to be significant. So I think it's easy to kind of look at some of the firsts of these things, and they definitely have more staying power than, let's say, a creature or a world of women or anything else, because you can't go back in time and make more NFTs in 2017 or 2018 or 2020. Like I can't answer the question, why would someone care about World of Woman in 5 years? That's why I don't own them. Like I'm not confident in that. But I'm confident in some of the more historical genre defining collections.
So Max, if the bright line demarcation for what is going to be a valuable or relevant NFT is, it's got to be something that was made before 2021.
No, it's not. That's not the only thing. The
then
other thing is
what are we telling people to buy?
Well, I mean, I'm telling people to buy the historic stuff for the most part, because I just really believe in that. The other thing is if you're not historic, you got to be doing something different. You got to be adding utility or providing value to the token holders. Bored Ape Yacht Club is excelling at that right now. So that's Bored Ape Yacht Club has made people hundreds of thousands of dollars this year. That's like, that pace is not going to keep up. So does that mean Bored Ape Yacht Club is still going to be doing what they're doing right now, creating as much value as they are 5 years from now? Like, I don't know. I find that unlikely. So Bored Ape Yacht Club is really hot right now because they're making people lots of money. Like CloneX, the artifact profile picture project, they were just bought by Nike. Like they're leaning fully into the metaverse thing. So by owning a CloneX NFT through the next decade plus, probably that'll have a lot of utility. You'll be able to get physical pieces of clothing and collect digital, that's going to be an ongoing thing that's going to be providing value in the future. So like I'm considering buying a CloneX because of that. So you got to kind of look at who's behind these projects. How are they going to still be relevant 5 years from now? Are they going to still be able to create value for the token holders 5 years from now? That's kind of what I think about.
These guys right here, Platinum.
Yep.
If you could have one of these 5, which would you pick? This one, the one with the
yeah.
spiders all over her face.
I mean that may be the right answer, but aesthetically, I'd probably go with the middle one.
All right. What is, like, in 30 seconds or less? Like, what is this all about?
Yeah. So Artifact is a metaverse fashion, clothing, streetwear company. They were just bought by Nike, and they're Nike's metaverse fashion brand. And Nike probably spent hundreds of millions of dollars acquiring this company. And this is their recent profile picture project that they just launched called CloneX. There's 20,000 of them. And they're essentially building their entire community going forward around this project. And
the thought being, Nike. Andrew, that you have to own one of these 20,000 to be able to wear some of the Nike clothing in the metaverse. So when Nike comes out with their own shoe, their own artifact, Nike, branded, whatever it may be, only the people who have these 20,000 avatars will be able to equip their avatars with that item. That's the thought.
Yeah.
And any idea why Nike chose CloneX? Like, there's 100 other PFP projects, but these guys are special. Yeah.
Well, because they're by far and away the leading metaverse fashion shoe brand company. I mean, there's not even any really competitors to them at this moment.
For traditional collectors, can you compare this to, like, Supreme? Is that fair? Like, what's like a real world comp for people who are listening and getting into NFTs day 10, day 2?
Nike.
So Nike bought Nike? They're just laundering money.
I mean, that's what I would compare it to. I would say Artifact is like the Nike of the metaverse. Nike apparently thinks the same thing. I mean, I would say that Bored Ape Yacht Club is like a Supreme, if we want to do comparisons like that. But
what do you say to the people who say that the metaverse is overstated, and that it's just not going to actually be anything? And I'm pretty sure, there are some pretty famous people out there who have said that recently. That, Facebook is doing this because nobody cares about Facebook anymore. Facebook is being passed by and becoming a grandparents' platform. So this was alleged effort to, try to have some sort of relevance. And that the world is not going to be strapping themselves into Oculus type, things and running into walls and, ignoring the real universe. You've all seen those videos, of course, right? People strapping into an Oculus for the first time and smashing their heads and falling downstairs. It's a load of fun for me to watch. But there are some pretty tech savvy people out there. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk just said it recently too. Who are like, everybody talks to me about Web3 and talks to me about it, NFTs and the metaverse, but I just don't see people doing this, at least not anytime soon. So
yeah, I mean that's totally valid. I mean, the metaverse is definitely not like a set in stone thing. The metaverse is going to come to fruition the way people think it is. I happen to think we've been living in the metaverse for years now. My definition of the metaverse is like just a virtual space that we spend time and interact with other people, go for entertainment, that kind of stuff.
Instagram? Yeah,
I mean, we spend 5+ hours a day buried in screens. Like, we're already living in this virtual world in a way. I mean, I think.
Yeah, but you don't need $20,000 avatars and artifact Nike sneakers in that world. You have your own sneakers that are on your actual feet.
I mean, no one needs any of this stuff. Like no one needs any CryptoPunk or Bored Ape, but it's like no one needs a Rolex or a Lamborghini.
It's true. It's true, but I guess the question is, if we're really in a metaverse type world now, why get an NFT Rolex instead of an actual Rolex? Why get an NFT Nike artifact instead of a real pair of Nikes?
Because you value your digital friends more than you value your real life.
I mean,
You
and
want to
that's
show off to
possible.
them.
It's very possible. I mean,
Or both.
is
It's
that
probably actually not one or the other. It's you do want to show off to your real friends, but you also want to show off to your digital friends.
I mean,
okay?
we're
So
just,
how about the apartments? How about land? How about that kind of stuff, right? If it's really, we're in the metaverse now, and it's cool to have a digital Rolex and a digital Nike to go with your real one, right? Is land just like, okay, that's just the next big thing? That's just, hey, we could sell it to you now. Is that something that's silly?
No. I mean, if the metaverse actually is what people think it's going to be, land is going to probably be a big part of it. I mean, there are currently platforms like Sandbox and Decentraland that you're able to buy plots of land in, and build on top of. I don't think those are going to be big players long term. I think that's just kind of a short term thing. Like Facebook could come in and launch their metaverse. And the thing about Facebook is, like, people are like, oh, Facebook sucks now. Like, they're a horrible company, horrible people. Like, if their metaverse product is a good product that people are going to want to use, like, it's going to be successful. But if Facebook comes in and they do a land thing, and that's going to be eaten up. I think the land
Are
thing
they going to do the land thing, or are they going to be the ones, like, if we're buying and selling land already, and we have these characters with fashion, is Facebook the one that's going to be creating the Earth?
I don't know what they're going to be doing. But it seems like virtual land, or being able to buy virtual real estate, that is going to be a thing in some fashion down the line. Like, I just think everything. We're increasingly living in a virtual world, like on the internet.
I like practical, real shit. So this is where I think NFTs have utility, and I don't know why we don't talk more about this. Twofold. If you have cool projects or cool art, to create like a gallery that people could visit by wearing their Oculuses, and you get a little bit of their Ethereum, right? Like they have like a $5 admission fee to go see your art and interact with it. Or
you're 32. How many times have you been to an art gallery in your life?
22. I don't go to art galleries. I work.
I'm being serious. How many times have you been to an art gallery?
I would go to an art gallery if I didn't have to leave my house. Why the fuck do I go to an art gallery? I have to big my body. I want to blaze and go to the art gallery.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch, is what I'm saying, right? Like, that's one of those things you hear.
Yeah, I have to stretch to go to the art gallery. I agree.
No, it's one of those things like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy these NFTs because then I can put my NFTs up in an art gallery and people will pay me ETH to come to my art gallery. So 2 problems with it. Number 1, no one goes to actual art galleries except old people, and they're not going to be in the metaverse. 2, more importantly, you go to an art gallery to see a one-of-a-kind piece. You go to an art gallery to see some painter, somebody who's done something that's rare, right? You're going to have every one of these art projects has 10,000 of them. I mean, there are some ones that are one-of-ones and whatnot, and that kind of stuff, but the vast majority of the ones we're talking about, there's 10,000 of them. Nobody's paying you ETH to come to your art gallery to see a creature.
No, there's already a gallery platform. It's called On Cyber.
There's plenty of them. I could probably name 10 art galleries, but I think it's just one of those things that people who want to make this happen say. There's going to be art galleries, and we can put our NFTs up in our art galleries.
It's happening. Like, people are doing this. I mean, there's only a million like active people in this space right now.
Correct. And you think that there's going to be 100 million or 1 billion, and I think there might be 4 billion, and then it dies. And we both can be right. No one knows which one of us is going to be right. No, right now we could be. No one knows which one of us is going to be right.
Okay,
no one knows which one of us is going to be right. We're less than a year into this. It's a year, and people are putting their life savings into profile pictures, on the hope that someone might pay them ETH one day to show up in their art gallery, or their land, or their apartment.
I accept Solana and Matic.
You understand what I'm saying? You know, there is just as much of a likelihood that people have moved on to something else. I gotta tell you,
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
What, that people have moved on to something else? Why? This wasn't even something that was thought of a year ago.
Well, that's not true. But what do you mean? The people were making NFTs in 2016, 2017.
NFTs, sure. Metaverse, no. NFTs, sure. They've been around for 5 years.
Well, I mean the
Sandbox, art galleries.
Well, yeah, this is all new. But I mean, there's a reason why there's so much attention. Like, it's not just like this is a fad. It's gonna be
because people
like,
are making money.
but you have to look at.
People made a crazy amount of money in it.
Cage, give me a chance to respond.
You got to look at like the macro, like the amount of smart people with a lot of resources, who are and the amount of money being thrown at this space. Like, the macro is, this is a world-changing, society-altering type of technological shift.
So Google has like an R&D department, right, that throws that kind of money. Smart people with a lot of money, and they throw their money at projects, and they say about 1 in 20 of them win. So I will never allow you to have a win by saying that smart people are throwing a lot of money at it, so something has to be there. Smart people throw a lot of money at losers every single day.
Right. Within the space, 95% of the stuff that's out there right now is going to be worth nothing. 99%.
I agree. Probably more.
But the macro is, it's not like the macro is going to fail.
So it depends what you mean by macro.
Like the whole NFTs, digital assets, digital ownership, like in a virtual setting.
Digital ownership in a virtual setting.
Like
there will be some form of digital ownership in a virtual setting. Sure. With buying and selling like a stock asset, you think that's part of it?
Of course, yeah. There's a market component.
Okay, I disagree. I think you're right from a macro percentage. That from a macro perspective, there will be buying and there will be digital assets in a metaverse type of space. But I believe what we saw this year with this, PFP project being bought, sold, flipped the way they are, I think it's a temporary thing. Because I think you're gonna see the vast majority of these things fall by the wayside.
I own 2 profile pictures. Like, I'm I'm not like, oh, PFP is the greatest thing ever. Put all your money in it. They're going to be a huge metaverse. Like, I'm as bearish on PFPs within the NFT space as you will probably find it. But
Max, talk to me then. If 1 million people are in this now, 950,000 of them are probably PFP traders.
Oh, there's gonna be a huge. I mean, a lot of people are gonna lose a lot of money at some point. There's gonna be.
Is that hard to come back from?
No. It's
gonna win. It's gonna be there no matter what. We are on a collision course with digital asset ownership in some form of a metaverse type of thing. It's gonna happen no matter what. Even if 95% of the people who are in this lose every dollar they've had invested in it,
I think
with 50,000
for the audience, I think what makes this difficult to kind of figure out is the fact that we're making like a few different bets at the same time, right? You have to pick the right projects. You also have to pick the right like sub industry, right? Like PFP, like you just said, Max, that you only own 2 PFP projects. How are Chromie Squiggles different than PFP? Right?
Well, that's art.
Because it's
kind of like Chromie Squiggles. If we're being honest, I kind of like those.
Can you explain those? Like maybe in like, could you explain how those work? Because
Yes. I'll try to be as brief as possible. But so. Art Blocks is a platform for generative art. Now, what is generative art? The artist is a coder. So a coder creates an algorithm and it produces 10,000 outputs. And they all kind of have a general theme. They all look kind of the same, but they're all unique. There's 10,000 unique outputs. So Chromie Squiggles was the first project on Art Blocks. So it's like project 0 of this new generative art platform, and it was created by the CEO of the company. His name's Snowfro. That's his name that he goes by. What?
No.
Snowfro.
The other thing is that all of Art Blocks art is on chain, meaning the instructions and the code and the algorithm to create the art is permanently on the blockchain. So as long as Ethereum's around, this art's going to be around. So yeah, I mean, just it's the generative art category. Just it's a category that people really like because it's combining the art with the technology in a way that is fairly new. And so yeah, these squiggles, there's 10,000 squiggles. They have different traits and different levels of rarity. Some are very, very rainbow colored. Some are, have one color, and it's just, people look at the squiggles and they say, "Oh, my 5-year-old can draw that." Like, yeah,
they do.
They do.
But you need a coder to put it on the chain. Man.
Well, it's not so much the art; it's more the tech that goes behind the art and the significance of that.
See, what confuses people about that is we've been told for the longest time that off the chain is better. I want my stuff to be off the chain.
So for you guys out there listening, why the on-chain is so important, and it's transparent for one, but most people don't realize these PFP projects, the smart contract is on the chain, but it's a template, but the art can actually be changed at any time, right? It's metadata that's actually on OpenSea servers. So that's a bigger deal than it seems like.
Yeah, your squiggles, you squiggle. They can't raccoon it. They can't kill it. They can't, make them zombies or whatever the hell happened. One of the other things I lost some money on. Max, listen, I love you, bouncing it back and forth with me because, I mean, this is the kind of conversation you have to have with the amount of money and the amount of people that are going into it. And I think you bring a great perspective because, I mean, Andrew and I, we do a podcast, just like, about cards. And one of the things that made you successful in cards is you were ahead of the curve on buying low-numbered, rarer, gold cards, buying the iconic cards. I look back in your profile and I see, you buying that Kobe LeBron combo card before everybody else thought it was cool. I see you buying the iconic, LeBron chalk toss cards before everybody else is buying them. I see you buying the 2012 Prism Silver Kobe in BGS 10 and in PSA 10 before people were buying those, right? That's, I think, the same type of mentality you're bringing to this space. You know that they're going to be here, but those Kobe's, those LeBrons with historical significance are going to be the ones that last, as opposed to everybody chasing that Zion card from a lesser set that there's going to be 20,000 of. That's kind of where we are. And I know you made the card comparison. I gave you shit about it, but that was to further my narrative for here. I guess the point is I appreciate you bouncing it back and forth with me because it's an important lesson for people to know. But the flip side also is people are in this space for a different reason now. A lot of the market participants that are in this now are in this to try to grab something and sell it a week later. There's a lot of that flipping going on. They don't want to buy a Chromie Squiggle right now because it's not going to move and there's not as much liquidity and that kind of stuff. So what do you think about that? What do you think about the flippers there? Is it a necessary part of it because it brings attention to the space? Is it something you think is a negative? What's your thought on that?
I mean, don't hold back because I saw you smile.
No, I agree with. I like this. I mean, I like where the conversation's headed. Like, I think the flipping is definitely a necessary part of it. I mean, I'm now only buying things that I genuinely like. So if they lose 50% of the value, 75% of the value, I'm still confident in it long term, where I'm not going to freak out. That's not what 90% plus people are like. Most people are buying now, Andrew, I did take a look in your wallet earlier, so I'm going to make an example out of something. Yeah, you have like the little lemons and the alien friends, and I'm not trying. I love it. I'm not trying. They're cute, but they're also going to be worth nothing eventually. And
he won't have those in a week, though. That's the thing.
No, I know he's not investing in it. You're not investing in it for a long term. It's mostly.
It's been 2 weeks. It's been the longest I've ever held an NFT, other than things I can't sell.
Well,
the longest I've ever held an NFT on purpose. That's it. Some of them I have no choice, so I get it.
Yeah, I mean, most people are buying these things. And the reality is they're buying it and they're hyping up on Twitter and they're being super active in the community. So everyone boosts up the price of this thing and then people sell. And then if they're able to sell. and then they profit. I mean, that's the game plan most people are going for right now. And that's just going to end badly at some point. Like, you can't just keep flipping the stuff and you know, I mean, that's just not going to work. Like lemons, like no one's buying that lemon because like they're like, oh, I love this lemon so much, and no one's spending $1,000 for the lemon. Like,
I've grown up. This is how we recover from sickness. In
he loves lemons.
I love lemons. I literally tea with lemon and honey is how we recover from sickness. I have lemon in my tea all the time. Lemon ginger tea.
You can buy a lemon farm for the amount of you're spending on these lemons. That's the point. You can have more lemons than you'll ever eat in your life for the cost of a lemon head. Oh man! Max's point is your point is made. No, it's a good example, and it makes sense because even it's funny how the narrative changes. You know, you're like, I do love lemons, and I love the art of these lemons. Come on, you know, what are you really walking around the metaverse one day with a lemon head avatar? Is that really what's going to happen? Is that the story? I don't think so. No matter how much you love the lemon, honey, ginger tea, you're not going to be Larry Lemonhead, walking around, Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse. And it's 100% accurate. And listen. There was a need for it. There's room for it. I guess my question is, we saw like the growth of Top Shot earlier this year, right? And what happens is you see that huge spike and market participants the whole 9 yards, and then it does do one of these, and there comes a point of flippening, let's call it, where there are more people losing money than there are people making money, right? Not a flippening of ETH and Bitcoin or a flippening of punks and apes. We can get into all those too. It's a point where the narrative on social, whether it's on NFT Twitter or wherever it's going to be, is I got into this because my cousin Larry told me to do it. I got into this because Shadowy Coder told me to do it. I got into this because all the Bored Apes guys were killing it. They were making money. They're telling me how they all are millionaires. They don't have student loans. So I got in, but I couldn't get in a Bored Ape because I didn't have 50 ETH. I brought my money in, so I got in. I got in. Yeah, I bought a lemon, or I bought a little Russian.
This collab, little lemon Oreo collab.
I wish it was real.
Wish it was real.
Could we talk about that? Because there's not enough credit. So the Full Set guys, they just bought a Bored Ape for their brand called Happy Dad, which is a hard seltzer, and they were in a commercial with that, right? And Bored Ape Yacht Club, they allow their holders to use the likeness and the IP of their NFT, right? Is there that's utility? You could make the people owning this are smart people, and most smart people, some of them own businesses and brands and merch and all that stuff. And now they could use something like Supreme that's in culture and slap it on their brand. And now you have recognition. You have what I would say the Nike or the Supreme of the NFT space. You could slap that on your brand. Is there value there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's value. But, I mean, maybe Bored Apes aren't, like the cool thing in 5 years. So do you want your brand attached to this thing that's no longer cool? Or the other thing is, as a creator, when you open it up so anybody can use these things, like, you don't know what people are really going to do with them. So, like, as a creator, I mean, I personally would want like control. I mean, I would want to have that control over my IP and where my art shows up and what my brand is being attached to.
That's not very
Web3 of you to say. Instead of Supreme, no, it might be FUBU.
It literally could.
Hey, we like Damon John.
Damon John is a smart entrepreneur. I think he sold that, and then the business went under.
Listen, I'm going to pivot because I want to spend some time on this. I want to talk about tokens. I want to talk about the SOS drop and what Max thinks about that. We had, obviously, ENS tokens that were dropped. Is this something that, I've seen a lot of talking heads say 2022 is going to be the year of the token. I like it, and I'll tell you why I like it, and then I want to hear your thoughts on it. And I even talked about this in our card thing. Andrew has made a very good comparison for these tokens, for NFTs, that they're almost like, they're like rewards. They're like, rewarding people for participation. And that's why people think like play to earn games are going to be big. He talks about to really dumb it down, like a cafe or a deli that gives you a punch card. Like when you buy five smoothies, your sixth one's free, right? And they're actually rewarding the people that make the business better, right? I think tokens, to some extent, they're like that, right? And I kind of love what SOS did, even though it has nothing to do with OpenSea, but almost kind of like a, hey, OpenSea, look what you can do if you're really a participant in this space, this Web3 space, where it is participation economy, right? Where it's you thank the people, reward the people, get the people engaged and involved in the business itself. Those are the people who built your business up, and you have a valuation that you do because of those people. You reward them, and it's symbiotic, right? So I like that, and I think you're probably going to see more of that in Web3 going forward. What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the reason why like Bored Apes and Cool Cats and a lot of these PFPs are really going up in price right now is in anticipation for their Q1 2022 token drops. I mean, everybody just wants an airdrop right now. Everyone is just, what app can I use? What platform can I use right now that will, airdrop me a bunch of tokens in the future? That's where a lot of the attention's at right now. Like MetaMask, for instance, they've kind of come out and said, yeah, we're looking at a token drop in the future, but that's going to be huge. Yeah, I don't know how sustainable it is. These token drops, I mean, it's just free money basically appearing out of thin air.
I just want to stop you for a second.
Shadowy, say something.
Filthy. Shadowy, that
You
looks
said your
filthy.
favorite thing.
It looks like, can you
Free
move
money.
the positioning of the microphone? It just looks horrible.
Where do you want it? Here? No.
Thank you.
Dude, but Shadowy, he said that. He said he's making money appear out of thin air. That is your general thesis on all of these tokens.
I still can't wrap my head around it. There's still multiple people I want to talk to this about. Yeah, it doesn't make sense how money can just be created out of thin air.
Yeah, I mean,
and people are behaving like it is. People are behaving like it is, in which that's part of what makes me think that this whole system is just so fragile. People think that they actually have way more money than they actually do. And that's one of the reasons I think the system's so fragile. And these token airdrops, if there's going to be a ton more of them, even more fragile. I'm already a little skeptical about where we're headed right now. This is going to make it even worse.
yeah, for
Normally,
instance,
I'm that guy. All right.
for instance, last night I claimed an airdrop that was the only CryptoPunks could claim. It's called the token. It's called SIG token, as in cigarette. I don't know why it's called that. And like I claimed like 0.6 Ethereum, 0.6 Ether, and basically the whole token is whoever has the most SIG token is the CEO of CryptoPunks. Even I don't understand how that token has any value, but it does
dividend.
somehow.
It's a
I mean,
dividend.
but it's not even from Larva Labs. It's just like someone just
created
created it. I don't understand how that has value, but people are buying it for some reason. I don't get it.
It's a brilliant idea. That's the best thing to do right now in the crypto space, is just to create a coin and attach it to something and then keep 20% of the whole treasury, right? You just created value for yourself, and you don't owe anything to your token holders, because this isn't an art project, this isn't an NFT project. You just gave them all their value up front, and now they shouldn't expect anything from you. And you earn 20% of the whole market cap. Pretty intelligent. If I knew how to do that, that's what we'd do.
That the value of it is now left to the token holders themselves. The people who own this now, it's up to them to generate their own value, instead of saying, what can devs do? It's what can token holders do.
That's cool.
People don't realize that in the first couple of days of it being dropped. They see this SOS and they think, oh, wow, this is a great thing. It's going to turn into something else. Constitution DAO, blah, blah, blah. It's going to do great things. Ultimately, the point there is you're a shareholder in whatever this company is. When you drop the token, when you're owning that token, and they drop 50% of SOS token right off the bat to people who are using OpenSea, basically what they're saying here is you're going to have votes. You're going to have, this DAO type of, a framework, rather than having an IPO. Right, that's federally regulated by the SEC, and you have shareholder meetings and votes by proxy and all that stuff, where your company does something. This is supposed to be, in a perfect world, streamlining that. And the response to what you're saying is that if that token would succeed, it's because the token holders are turning that company into something. SIG, for example, Max brings up, if if they really did, if all of the owners of punks, which has less than 10,000 of because there's so many dead in wallets, but if all of the owners of punks really did get together and had sort of like a meeting, like, okay, well, I'm going to vote my SIG on this, and then it could become the unofficial token of CryptoPunks, and then therefore have some value because there are some major players that would be involved in those votes and decisions and what kind of branding you can do with it and that kind of stuff. That said, that's a real long shot. You know what I mean? Chances are people are just going to take that 0.6 ETH and walk away and say, thank you for the free. There you go, Max. So, I mean, I understand the premise behind it, and Shadowy, trust me, I understand exactly what you're saying. I've been through this. I've been through shitcoins before. I've been through ICOs before. I've seen this happen years ago where everybody dropped a coin. And again, 99% of people lost their money. Mm-hmm. So I just don't think it's free money. I don't think it's money created out of nowhere, because the way you have to look at it is these are all companies that are being started. They're all, same thing with ENS. It's a company. Instead of them saying, okay, we have registered this many hundreds of thousands of ENS names, we have this much money, we have a business that's going, and then taking it public like OpenSea is saying they're going to do, they can register it with, JP Morgan or whoever it is and say, we're going to take it to the stock market, we're going to trade shares and let people buy shares. They're circumventing that entire thing by tokenizing it, by doing this token drop, this airdrop, and their shareholders become their people who are using it, the people who are actually, part of building up the valuation of it. The next step is the tough part. And Shadow, you're right. It becomes nothing. It becomes free money if you just cash out and do nothing with it. However, the people who are in this believe in the business, believe in the stuff, and start voting and do things with it, it could turn into something.
It comes with a lot of responsibility that people don't want, though. So people are gonna throw those coins away. But also, like, the thing I would caution is that lots of these coins have no responsibility to them. Like the OpenDAO, as far as I know, well, it's not there's no way, it's not a governance token for OpenSea. So there's no real there's no link to OpenSea at all. Exactly. So there's no way that community can create a better OpenSea, and so there's no real value in having that governance token. And I don't know anything about SIG, but SIG might be the same. There's no governance of Larva Labs in there, so it's a wasted, useless, paper-thin, unsubstantial token.
World, right? So think of what they did, right? They gave out tokens to 850,000 people for their use of MetaMask, right? Yeah. If it were centralized enough with the amount of money that's there, and some of the big guys who got their money, Dingling and whoever else who got this, if they got together enough people, and then what, we're going to now vote, and we're not going to use OpenSea, right? We're not going to trade for. We're going to use this money. Here's the airdrop. Everybody gets $10,000, $5,000, whatever the hell it is. Don't use OpenSea for the next month, right? Because we're trying to send a message to OpenSea that they should adopt our coin. Instead of doing a public offering, they should take our coin. They should use SOS coin as the OpenSea coin, right? And if they were strong enough, if that coin were centralized enough, and they, like unionized, Hoffa-wise, like the Teamsters and whatnot, they did that, right? And that coin was what people rallied around, and it was enough to give people that money to do that, right? And send a message to OpenSea. Wouldn't that be worth something?
That'd be interesting.
Now, clearly, that's not going to happen. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. And maybe if enough people, who have that SOS coin started that type of a petition type thing, right? And we said, what, guys, we're not going to do it. We're not going to use OpenSea. Let's show them the value of community. We're the ones that built up their value. They're now screwing us over. This is not what Web3 is about. You could now listen. There's a 0.00001% chance that ever happens. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you what could be the case with these tokens. Could be. I mean,
it's true.
Stealing your car?
Putnam, that's Detroit. That's what Detroit sounds like.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm certainly not in Detroit right now. So
you go to Detroit.
I'd be interested.
Right? Front row.
What's that?
You go to Detroit just to look at Beef Stew and Cade Cunningham play front row.
Yeah. Oh, I did not pay for those tickets, by the way.
Well, no one in Detroit pays for tickets. There's a brawl outside, and whoever wins gets access.
That's right. It's malice at the palace. What's next? So is MetaMask token going to be the next one? Or is it going to be some other token no one's ever heard of? What's the big drop? And all these healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the next three big ones are probably going to be the Cool Cat token, the Bored Ape token, and then MetaMask token. And I would assume that's all going to be happening next year, maybe early next year. So we'll see.
What do you think of? I bought into this thing called the Proof Collective, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
just like
I saw that.
now he's
So
excited.
When he was snooping in your wallet, he
A
saw
little
it.
sleuthing, yeah.
I'm the #1 wallet snooper. I will snoop any wallet. You put a wallet in front of me, I'll snoop it.
What do you look for?
When I'm looking through people's wallets? I'm not really looking for anything. I'm just kind of getting an idea of what this person's all about and what they value. But yeah, Proof Collective is super interesting. I mean, that's purely a utility NFT. I didn't mint because I thought that for some reason the price would go down post mint instead of way up. I'm honestly kind of surprised they're at where they're at right now, but I mean, it's awesome. I love Kevin Rose, and I think it's a great community to be a part of.
It's funny how utility is so subjective, right? Like this is access to a private Discord that
Right.
costs $25,000.
Right. To me, I'm not willing to pay that much for it. like I was willing to pay when the minting was going on. I was willing to pay like, okay, if this goes down to like 0.75 ETH, I'll get one.
I tried to get it at 1.
Yeah,
and got two errors.
It got snatched up at 1. But I mean, to me, that was worth under 1 ETH, and now it's the cheapest one in secondary is like 5 ETH or 6 ETH or something. I think that's what the floor is, something crazy like that. I mean, I don't know who's buying that, but I mean,
Listen,
it's awesome.
those you might get for 1 ETH. I mean, the Discord hasn't even opened yet. Give the
The
people who
Discord
boarded
hasn't
it.
even opened yet.
No, and give people a chance in January when the Discord opens to see what their $25,000 is worth. All of a sudden, I think you might see a couple of them come on secondary.
Yeah, I thought the Discord was open.
Not even open.
Okay.
That's the best. Buy the hype, sell the news, Cage.
Yeah,
By the hype, all the news. They haven't done the reveal yet.
If I
They haven't
owned
done the art reveal.
If I owned a Proof Collective NFT right now, I like minted it, and now they're 5-6 ETH, I'd be selling.
Sell. My two best
Sell.
buddies tell me to sell all the time. For a loss or
Sell,
for profit,
Mortimer.
just sell.
Sell more. Just sell. We're all about selling. We're all about selling. Well, listen, if you had a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk, we probably wouldn't tell you to sell.
I think something that's not talked about
Lemons?
enough, something that's worked for me for the last... Well, let's just talk about lemons. Like, we don't know what's going to be the winner in the future, right? Like, we don't. We speculate. This is so new. But there is opportunity within all this volatility to kind of trade strategically so that you can end up with an NFT for free. What I mean by that is the lemons, I caught the lemons on the run up. It's a project I've watched. I saw the community. I saw it kind of, you get to see it simmer and then bubble. And I'm sitting on that NFT for free. So, and I was able to take the principal out that I invested. I bought 4 and now I'm holding 1, and I'm also holding a rarity that's 300 and change. So there is a little bit of like, there's this fun trading game that you could play with all of these PFP projects where you catch them at the right time, they run up, you sell into the strength, and you hold 1. That's what I'm practicing.
Every day you hold a liquid asset, you make a decision to buy it again that day. Every day you have a liquid asset that you don't sell that day, you're waking up and saying, I would buy this at that price.
That's not true.
I've hated that statement. I could not disagree with that.
I agree.
Why?
Go on, Max.
What?
I agree with that statement, but I'd like to be disproven. Go ahead, Max.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
It makes total sense. You could buy it again if it's liquid. You're
Warren
holding
Buffett
it
says
right now. So
Rule
you're
number 1
lending
is
it.
never lose your money. My goal is just to not lose my principal. If I could get my principal out and hold an asset, I'm sitting pretty.
So your lemon is, let's say, worth $1,000 right now, right? So you could take that $1,000 and roll it into something else that you think will be better for you, or you hold your lemon because you think that $1,000 is better sit in that lemon. That's what the sentence that I just said meant. If you're holding it and it's liquid, you could either have $1,000, that lemon, $1,000 to keep in a lemon, or $1,000 to move into something else. That's a pretty easy statement. It's very difficult to argue with that because if you have conviction in that lemon, you think that lemon is the best place for that $1,000 right now, then you keep it in a lemon. If you think that $1,000 is better spent somewhere else, you should be selling that lemon. You wake up this morning, you have a lemon that you can change for $1,000 and put that into something else. Then every day you wake up and keep that lemon. You've made that decision that that's the best place for your $1,000 when it's a liquid asset.
I don't still own my CryptoPunk because I think it's going to outperform a lot of other stuff on the market right now.
You think it's the best place for your money. And the reason that it's not about outperforming, it's the best place for your money for other reasons. Because you like owning it, because it provides you some utility, because you like being one of the few people that owns that, because there's a SIG drop, because there are other things that are out there. There's more to best place for your $1,000 or best place for your money than just the 20% or 10% return. You make a decision that's the best place that you want to have your money. Not on return solely, but because you don't know if you could rebuy that particular one. And your punk, I would argue, is probably not that liquid of an asset, your punk itself. Because who knows, if you sell your punk, the person who buys that one punk tomorrow, you might not ever get it back. You might be holding a punk that somebody no, but it might be something that somebody looks like. Somebody might think that Max Punk is the one that they've always wanted to have.
You just cut out there for a little bit.
I said it's not what I would call a liquid asset. You know, a lemon.
Oh, these are all liquid JPEGs.
No. A punk itself is probably a different category. But if you owned any other JPEG type of thing, you could get something similar for a similar price. You know, the punks are a little bit of a different category. Who knows if you'd be able to get into a punk? You sell your punk, and tomorrow or the next day, you might not be able to get into a punk that looks anything like that for anywhere near the same amount of money. So the liquidity is not the same there. His lemon, he might not be able to get that lemon tomorrow, but he can get into a lemon that's something like that lemon, in the next week for a similar
After
price.
people listen to this episode, my lemon's going to go up 2x, so joke's on you guys.
Cage, I like that logic. The extension of that logic is when people get free token airdrops, and they're like, oh, it's just free money. I'll see. It's only like $1,000. I'll watch it ride out. We'll see if it goes up. We'll see if it goes down. But they don't have any kind of connection to that money, as if it weren't really $1,000. But my theory is that you always have responsibility to any of the money in your wallet. So that $1,000 is exactly as equal to any other $1,000 that you earned. If you really do think that project is going to improve, cool, keep your $1,000 in there. But if you don't think it, get out. Don't call it house money, I guess, is my argument right here. I've never understood that part.
Right. I mean, it depends. Right. So Max is coming at this without the whole trading flipper mentality. Right. He doesn't buy this stuff the same way. Right. So, the conversation we're having is, I think, more akin to that type of, you could buy something today. You have something in your wallet, that $1,000 can be used to buy something else that GaryVee is going to pump this week, and you can turn it into more money than the $1,000. Buy your lemon, and then still have more money. A little different than some of the other art projects that you like, or a little different than that kind of stuff. And Shadow, I understand what you're saying, but it's human nature, right? If I go into a casino and I win, a bunch of hands, I take my money and some profit, put it in my pocket, I'm going to start betting bigger because it is house money in my brain. And that's wrong. I get it. But that is human nature. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you get that SOS token, and it's sitting there and you're like, well, I wasn't asking for this. I wasn't, it just came. Who knows? Maybe this turns into something great. You don't view it the same as every other thing that's in there. Maybe this is the one that sets me up with a Lambo, baby. When move.
Do what Gary does.
It's easier to think that when you didn't have to earn that money. So I get it. I understand what you're saying.
And it happens because it's nice to be able to, let your brain be lazy for a little bit. So it's nice not to have to ask yourself that question every day. Today, should I hold or should I sell? Tomorrow, should I hold or should I sell? It's nice to just let your brain just be lazy and not think about it. And that's what we do a lot. We save ourselves energy and time and stress. So it makes sense. It's human nature.
Putnam, what have we not talked about that you and your friends talk about when it comes to NFTs?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
do you guys talk about music NFTs at all?
Not really. I think I think that's still super, super, super early in the music space. I think it's not gonna slow down the innovation there. I mean, why would anyone sign a record deal when they can just release their music straight to their audience or give their audience ownership to fund their music? So I think that stuff's gonna come in time, but it's still early. So I haven't really done a deep dive into any of the music stuff.
Have you deep dived maybe like gaming, blockchain gaming? I don't know, Ember Sword?
I've never heard of that, but I have been doing a little bit more research on gaming. Most people, in terms of categories that are gonna kind of blow up in
P2E, baby.
2022, yeah, most people have the two most common predictions are play-to-earn gaming, blockchain gaming, and then photography. Those are the two categories that a lot of people are pretty bullish on entering the new year. So I've been doing a lot of research in both those categories. With play-to-earn gaming, I've seen like 10 games or websites, and there's no actual product there. It's just like a trailer and a definition, and it's. I feel like play-to-earn game is going to be like 2021 or 2022's version of the profile, the 10K profile picture.
Yep.
There's just going to be all these games launched, and maybe 1% or 2% of them are actually going to become something.
Have you looked at the only one that I'm in, and I got in it like the day after it minted, and I'm with you on it because I'm like in the Discord. They call me, Captain FUD, because I'm like, where's the white paper? Like, where's the game? I understand you just did a 3D thing and then rendering, but where's the actual stuff? And the game's actually in beta right now, so they actually have a game. It's Citizens of the Believers, like Bull, BULL, like Believers. And they have like investors in it and everything, like Wall Street, like investment type. They got a token. First 100 days after mint, if as long as you held your NFT, they give you like 20 bull coins per day, and those are going to be used in the game. It's definitely well thought out. It was like a 20-something page white paper that came out on Christmas Eve. It's interesting to see, but I'm with you. I think the games, people will almost invest now in any project that says we got a game coming out that's play to earn without anything, right? With nothing. This one, at least, they spent the last 3-4 months building it up, but at least they have a white paper. I've seen some game footage. It's pretty cool 3D. It doesn't look like, like Wolf Game type of stuff, right? It's like legit. And it's pretty light. We looked at the apartments one, right? Web3 was another. What was that? The World Wide Web, WEBB. That was the one that had the apartments. They have a game that you don't even need like an Oculus. You play it right in your MetaMask browser. So it's pretty lightweight. The code on it's pretty lightweight. But I'm with you, man. I'm curious to see what the P2E, play to earn gaming thing is. The only problem I have with it is I'm not spending time playing games. I'm not collecting wool and, hunting bears with my bull. I'm not going to be doing that stuff, just not.
Just bring back Snake. Just bring back Snake for my Nokia.
Snake Plissken?
No, it's just Snake.
Oh, for
you
your
don't
Nokia.
remember Snake?
Yes, I do.
That was so much fun. All right, Putnam. I mean, we could riff for NFTs for a long time. It would be interesting. A large portion of this show, like when it comes to cards and talking basketball, football, we know our stuff there. We do. There's nothing. But this, I want to look back on these, when I'm in 1 year and 5 years and 10 years, and just be like, what the F were we talking about? You know what I'm saying? A little bit like just the historical value.
Remember when Cage compared this stuff to Beanie Babies? What an idiot.
I'll tell you, Cage, Captain FUD is right more than people realize. He's right quite a bit. He was right about the Santa Claus Kobe card. Now that's all over Instagram and people are ripping
Santa Claus
it.
Kobe card.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Santa Claus Kobe card. No.
Yeah, Gabe Warren. It's a Kobe card around the holidays, and a piece of his robe that he was wearing in the shoot is in the card.
It's in the card, like a Kobe Warren Santa piece. I gave it early as a play because people will want to have it around Christmas time. And
that's funny.
It's everywhere. It legit this week was everywhere. So, and I didn't buy one because I like to have our people get, make the plays, and I don't want to be competing with our audience on the plays because, that's not fair. Let them make the money. But no, dude, listen, we love having you on because you bring a very different perspective to this. Everybody in the world now is PFP crazy. Everybody in the space now is, what's the next one to buy that's going to 10x? What's the next Bored Ape? And I like having someone like you on because I feel like I'm on an island myself yelling, there might not be another Bored Ape. And I think you're kind of there preaching a different way of doing this, but at the same time, not going as far as me saying this whole thing's going to collapse. You believe from a macro perspective that there is a long term here. Otherwise, people like Nike and Adidas and Facebook would not be so invested in it. It doesn't mean PFPs are the way to go. It also doesn't mean that when PFPs die, the whole thing dies. So be smart about where you put your money. And we love having people like you in to kind of, you know.
Can I put him? I'm gonna put you on the spot. This is more for you, Putnam. About your life. What's 2022 look like for you? So you graduate. Where are you at? Do you move to Miami? Do you go to Austin? Do you stay in Detroit? He's smiling. I got something. I'm fishing.
I mean, Miami's been of interest to Putnam Cards. I can go and hang with my guy, Summertime Cards, down there.
Niche betting, the coin flip, and then partying in South Beach?
Sounds good to me. But, I mean, if I was to go somewhere, it'd be Miami, New York. I mean, I want to work in the Web3, NFT space, specifically NFT space. There's a company called Recur in Miami. They're partnering with a lot of big brands, big IPs, and they're launching a whole platform next year. So that's a company I've kind of been looking at. So we'll see. I mean, maybe I start my own project. I think of something. I want to be working on something to do with NFTs. So hopefully I graduate and head in that direction.
GaryVee, good for the space, bad for the space, neutral? Any takes?
I think if this is controversial, I don't know what to tell people. I think GaryVee is the best thing that can happen to any space.
He doesn't make my bags fill up.
What do you mean?
His projects have been after his tweets and love the art. Remember, I'm 5 to 10 years away. Type of tweets. I can't hold it in. They always go down.
Oh, yeah, of course they do. I never buy any of the stuff that he tweets out that he says he's buying, because he's just supporting artists. He's not really investing.
Listen, what worked 6 months ago is not going to work now because people change their strategies. So when GaryVee said, I'm minting World of Women, it was a very different market that was in it. People were getting in who believed in Gary, who believed in the artwork, who weren't just quick flipping. And they said, okay, this is the deal. And there was a slow and steady rise of that project. Now, months later, people expect the same thing to happen. So the people who are jumping in and following Gary's wallet and following Gary's Twitter are people who are not in that project for the long haul. They're not people who are looking to hold that project, right? And he got people like Logan Paul to buy World of Women and buy it for a lot. I mean, that dude was spending $100,000 for Night Goddesses in that project. Now, when he says buy this project, Flower Girls, whatever the heck it's going to be, the people who jump in and follow Gary, they're buying it at 0.08 and immediately relisting it at 0.12. That is going to cap the run. It's going to cap a ceiling, and it's, I think, going to have the exact opposite effect. I think people are not going to get in for the right reason. It's going to be filled with people who are in it for the wrong reason, and that's why you're seeing when Gary talks about something, it might do this, but then immediately do that, because it's building the project up the wrong way. Now, I'm sure depending upon the team behind it, I'm sure they're thrilled to sell out if he talks about it at mint. I'm sure they're thrilled to have him involved in the project because anybody would love it. But ultimately, a week after he's there, when the project goes like this, it's leaving them with the responsibility of now backfilling those people who made their money on that quick flip with people who want to actually be in the project. And it's tough to do that when you're now on this end of the hill. Hello, sir. How are you?
Papa Putnam.
My dad, he has no sense of what's going on here. He's very confused.
Dude, that's
now
what parents are for. That's literally what parents are for. My dad, who's never done a podcast in his life, gave Mike Cage and I extensive feedback on ours.
Yeah, he told me, stop drinking. Stop drinking during the show. That's what he told me. Stop drinking.
Oh.
You,
what are the? Do you ever, if you're in an argument with your parents, you're like, don't piss me off. I'll buy your house. I'll sell my CryptoPunk. This is worth more than your entire house. Do you ever do that?
I have not done that. No.
Okay. Don't do it. They're not
Except,
going to be happy with that.
what I have done is, they kind of want to buy an NFT or two, maybe a squiggle or a creature or something. Like
Lemon.
a floor squiggle or floor,
Tell
or a
about
floor lemon. Yeah, I'll tell them about the lemons.
But they get
but
sticker
I'll,
shock when you
but
tell
what
them how
I'll
much
do-
it is.
But what I can do is I can say, well, you can go ahead and you can go buy it. They're not gonna be able to figure it out. So they need me to buy it. So that's kind of, I have a little bit of leverage there with that.
Love you, brother. We'll do this again. We'll probably have you on for the sports show next year. Wishing you and the family happy New Year's. All the best in 2022. It's gonna be fun. We'll see what January brings. A lot of people are excited if you look at Twitter.
It's gonna be crazy. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.